If you lose, you'll be my slave. If you win, you'll be my husband, she challenged Acce. Beginning, the twin suns of Aurelia Prime bled amberlight across the horizon, their glow casting long shadows over the dueling arena. The arena was not just any circle of sand and stone. It was the ancient trial of bonding, a ritual older than the Empire itself, where blood, honor, and destiny converged. Acce tightened the grip on his gauntlets. The humming force field meshed across his arms, sparking faintly as he flexed. He was not from Aurelia. He wasn't even supposed to be here. He was a human pilot from Earth, stranded after a failed scouting mission that had gone horribly wrong when his ship was pulled into a gravity well near Aurelia Prime. The Aurelian people had captured him. Curious about the alien who wore no crest, who bent knee to no monarch, who fought with both ingenuity and desperation. To them, he was an anomaly. To Princess Seralith, he was something else entirely, an opportunity. She had stepped into the arena in a storm of silver armor, her long obsidian hair flowing like a river of night, her eyes burning with violet fire. When she first saw Acce fight against a squadron of her warriors just to survive capture, she hadn't ordered his execution. Instead, she had smiled and said, "If you lose to me, you'll be my slave. If you win, you'll be my husband." The proclamation stunned the Aurelian court. To challenge in such a way meant binding her fate, her house, and the Empire itself to the outcome. But Seralith had always been known for defying expectations. Acce had laughed at first. He wasn't looking for a wife, least of all an alien princess. But then he noticed a tightening circle of guards around him, the way the arena gates sealed shut, the anticipation in thousands of golden-skinned faces staring down at him. He realized he had no choice. Now, standing in the center of the dueling sands, Acce inhaled slowly. His every nerve tingled. The arena's force barriers shimmered like glass around them, locking him and Seralith together in this trial. "Are you ready, off-worlder?" Seralith called, her voice ringing like tempered steel. Acce smirked, though his heart pounded. "I don't plan on being anyone's slave, princess." Her lips curved into a dangerous smile. "Then prove yourself worthy of being my husband." The crowd roared as the ceremonial gong thundered. The trial of bonding had begun. Middle. Seralith moved first, her blade flashing like liquid light. It wasn't steel, it was a plasma-edged glaive, a weapon humming with atomic fury. Acce barely rolled aside as the weapon scorched the sand where he'd been standing. The heat licked at his skin, reminding him this was no sparring match. He countered with a quick strike from his gauntlets, activating the built-in shockwave emitters he had scavenged and rebuilt from his wrecked ship. A concussive blast surged forward, forcing Seralith back a step. Her eyes widened slightly, not from fear, but from intrigue. "You wield scraps," she said, spinning her glaive back into guard stance. "And yet they bite." Acce grinned through his sweat. "Where I come from, we make do with what's left after crash." They circled, predator and prey indistinguishable, sparks crackling between them. Every clash of her glaive against his gauntlets sent tremors through the arena floor. But the fight was not just of weapons. It was of wills. Seralith pressed him with questions between strikes, as if testing more than his combat reflexes. "Why did you risk your life for crew members already lost?" Clang! The glaive met gauntlet. "Because you don't abandon family," Acce growled, shoving her back. "Why refuse power when others would kneel for it?" Swish! Her blade cut within inches of his face. "Because power without freedom is just another cage," he snarled, ducking under her strike, and landing a hit that sent static jolts across her armor. The princess laughed, wild and free, even as sparks danced over her skin. The crowd gasped at her laughter. For centuries, no challenger had entertained her during the trial. Most knelt within minutes. "You fight not just with strength, but with fire," she said, her voice husky with exhilaration. "Perhaps you are not unworthy after all." But Acce was tiring. Each motion drained him faster than he admitted. Her strikes were calculated, graceful, infused with decades of royal training. He, on the other hand, was running on raw determination and desperation. His vision blurred for a moment, and that's when Seralith capitalized. She swept his legs, forcing him to ground, her glaive's plasma edge poised just above his throat. The crowd erupted, certain it was over. Seralith leaned close, her eyes glowing. "Yield, Acce. Say the word, and you will live as my slave. You'll never hunger. You'll never fear. You'll be mine." Acce stared up at her, panting, his mind flashing through everything he'd lost, his crew, his freedom, his home. Something deep within him ignited. He gritted his teeth. "I didn't crawl across a galaxy just to bow. With a surge of adrenaline, he slammed his gauntlets together. The emitters overloaded, releasing a shockwave that blasted Saralith backward. Her glaive flew from her hands, embedding into the arena wall. The crowd screamed in disbelief. The princess was weaponless. Acce staggered to his feet, every muscle screaming. He could end it now, claim victory, claim her hand, claim the Empire's respect. But he hesitated. He didn't want a wife won through combat. He didn't want to enslave or be enslaved. Saralith rose slowly, breathing hard, sweat glistening on her skin. Her violet eyes locked on him. Why don't you finish it, human? Acce lowered his gauntlets. Because I don't fight to own people. I fight to be free. Silence fell over the arena. Even the suns seemed to pause in their descent. Saralith tilted her head, studying him. Then, to everyone's shock, she smiled, not the predator's grin she had worn before, but something softer, warmer. You've passed, she said. The court erupted in confusion. What does she mean, passed? Nobles cried from the stands. Saralith raised her voice, silencing them all. The trial of bonding is not about strength alone. It is about heart resolve and the refusal to yield one's soul. Acce has shown me more worth than any suitor of Aurelia. By the ancient laws, he is victorious. The crowd gasped and chanted, bonded, bonded, bonded. Acce blinked in shock. Wait, so that means... Yes, Saralith said, stepping toward him. She extended her hand, regal and unwavering. It means you are not my slave. You are my husband. Ending. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Acce found himself draped in ceremonial armor, paraded through Aurelia Prime as the chosen consort of the princess. Nobles whispered in scandal, warriors bowed grudgingly, and citizens shouted his name with awe. But beneath the surface, not everyone accepted him. Many factions believed the human had tricked the princess, that he had bewitched her into choosing him. Assassination attempts became frequent, testing his resilience. Yet each time, Saralith stood at his side, glaive flashing to protect him. You're part of this world now, she told him one night as they looked out over the twin suns. But you will never belong unless you carve your place with your own hands. Acce nodded, finally understanding. Their bond wasn't about a crown or power or even marriage. It was about survival together in a galaxy that sought to break them. And as months passed, he came to admire Saralith's fierce spirit, her defiance of traditions that caged her, her laughter that rang like war drums and song at once. What began as a forced duel became a partnership neither of them had expected. When the Empire faced threats from beyond, the Valen Swarm, a race of hive-minded marauders, it was Acce's earthborn tactics combined with Saralith's unyielding leadership that saved Aurelia Prime from devastation. Together, they led armies, rebuilt fleets, and carved a new chapter in the Empire's history. One evening, after victory fires lit the night sky, Saralith turned to him and whispered the words that once began their bond. If you lose, you'll be my slave. If you win, you'll be my husband. Acce smirked, pulling her close. Looks like I won, princess. She kissed him under the twin suns, their destinies entwined, not by force, not by tradition, but by choice. And so the human stranded in a foreign world became not a prisoner, not a consort by accident, but a partner to Queen. Aurelia Prime never forgot the trial of bonding where a slave was never taken, a husband was never forced, and a legend was born.